There is a betrayal that doesn't make headlines. No shouting, no confrontation, no storm of words. It happens quietly, in the silence between your choices and your conscience. You won't notice it at first. It doesn't draw blood, but it drains your spirit, drop by drop. It's not the betrayal of a lover, or a friend, or a family member. It's the betrayal you commit against yourself. And it's the one that leaves the deepest scar, because you can't run from it. You live with it. You sleep beside it. You wake up each day carrying the weight of knowing that you became your own enemy. This is the wound that Stoicism warns us about. The wound that comes from abandoning the very thing that makes us human: integrity. When you silence your inner truth to please others, when you ignore your intuition for approval, when you choose comfort over character, you are cutting away pieces of your own soul. Welcome to Beyond Vision Mindset, a place where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Here, we explore the teachings of Stoicism, Aristotle, and timeless philosophy to help you strengthen your mind, protect your energy, and reclaim your inner power. If you've ever felt lost, empty, or disconnected from who you truly are, stay until the end. This might be the moment your soul has been waiting for. 1. The quiet poison of self-betrayal. Self-betrayal rarely begins with a loud declaration. It starts in whispers. A moment of hesitation. A small compromise you tell yourself is harmless. You say yes when every part of you wants to say no. You laugh at something that disrespects you just to avoid being called too sensitive. You go along with choices that contradict your values because confrontation feels heavier than surrender. And each time you do, you trade a fragment of your spirit for temporary ease. The Stoics believe that the greatest harm is not what others do to us, but what we do to ourselves. Epictetus wrote, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has power over my will." What he meant was this: the world can wound your body, but only you can wound your integrity. When you betray your conscience, you create chains stronger than any physical prison. Over time, these quiet betrayals accumulate. You start losing trust in your own voice. Decisions that once felt natural become burdensome. You question your instincts, your worth, your direction. You tell yourself you're fine, but deep down, you know you're living as a shadow of who you were meant to be. And this is the poison of self-betrayal. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It erodes you, slowly, subtly, silently. You keep showing up for the world, but not for yourself. You keep giving to others what you refuse to give to your own soul: honesty, respect, compassion. Until one day you look in the mirror and realize that you've become unrecognizable. Not because life changed you, but because you abandoned yourself piece by piece to survive in a world that rewards masks more than truth. 2. The cost of living against your nature. There is a cost to living out of alignment with your nature, and it is always paid in peace. You might succeed outwardly. You might even receive praise. But deep inside, you will feel the dull ache of disconnection. So the knowledge that you've become something you are not. The Stoics taught that virtue, living in accordance with reason and truth, is the only true good. Everything else, they said, is indifferent. Wealth, fame, beauty, none of it matters if it costs you your integrity. Yet in the modern world, we are trained to chase external validation at the expense of internal harmony. We compromise our beliefs to fit in. We stay silent in the face of wrongs. We lower our standards just to feel accepted. I remember a time in my life when I did exactly that. I wore the masks society handed me and called it adaptation. I said yes to things that disrespected my peace because I feared rejection. I worked jobs that drained me, stayed in relationships that diminished me, and smiled through it all, convincing myself that endurance was the same as strength. But endurance without alignment is self-destruction in slow motion. Eventually, I began to see the truth. I was paying too high a price. Every compromise left me feeling emptier. Every false smile added weight to my chest. I was betraying my nature, and it was costing me my soul. Seneca once wrote, "No man can live happily, or even tolerably, without a sense of his own good." That good he speaks of is not wealth or pleasure. It is integrity. To live against your nature is to live in conflict with yourself. It's like sailing against the current of your own spirit. You can do it, but it will exhaust you. The peace you crave will never come from pretending. It will only come from truth, no matter how uncomfortable that truth is. So ask yourself, what are you losing by trying to belong where you don't fit? What does it profit you to gain approval but lose authenticity? Every time you act against your nature, you chip away at the foundation of your peace. And no external success can ever fill that void. 3. The turning point, when silence becomes suffocation. There comes a moment, sometimes after years of pretending, when the silence becomes unbearable. When you realize that the price of avoiding conflict is living a lie. The moment you see clearly that your desire for peace has become your prison. That moment is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it forces you to confront how long you've been living in denial. Liberating because it marks the beginning of your return to truth. For me, that moment wasn't dramatic. It didn't arrive with a breakdown or explosion. It came quietly, in the form of exhaustion, the kind that sleep can't fix. I woke up one day and realized that my soul was tired of pretending. I was tired of filtering myself to be liked, tired of enduring things that insulted my spirit. I realized that keeping the peace had turned me into someone I didn't recognize. The Stoics remind us that real peace is not found in avoidance but in alignment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You will find rest when you work for the good of your own nature." True peace is not the absence of noise. It is the absence of inner conflict. When your actions reflect your truth, the noise outside can no longer disturb you. That's the turning point. When silence, once your defense, becomes suffocation. When you can no longer tolerate the sound of your own compliance. It's the moment your soul demands to be heard again. And when you answer that call, when you finally decide to stop betraying yourself, you begin to breathe differently. You begin to live differently. 4. The path back to integrity. Rebuilding integrity is not easy, because you are not just learning how to be honest with the world. You are learning how to be honest with yourself. It begins with self-confrontation, not self-condemnation. You must be willing to sit in the discomfort of your own reflection and admit the truth. I have abandoned myself, but I am ready to return. Ask yourself, what parts of me have I silenced to keep others comfortable? What truth have I buried beneath fear? What would my life look like if I stopped negotiating my worth? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to awaken you. Because awareness is the first act of loyalty to the self. Once you begin this journey, you will face resistance, both from others and from within. The world benefits from your self-betrayal. It benefits when you stay quiet, compliant, predictable. When you start speaking your truth, you will make people uncomfortable. But discomfort is not danger. It is growth. The Stoics believed that character is strengthened through adversity. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show what men are." The same is true for integrity. Each time you choose to stay true to yourself despite fear, you fortify your spirit. You build an internal fortress no opinion can breach. As you walk this path, you'll notice changes. The conversations you once tolerated will start to feel hollow. The environments that once thrilled you will begin to drain you. The people who fed on your compliance will drift away. But in their absence, something greater will emerge. Your peace, your clarity, your voice. And when you live in alignment with your truth, you stop chasing validation. You no longer need others to tell you who you are because you know. That knowledge, that grounded certainty, is the true definition of freedom. 5. The liberation of loyalty to the self. To be loyal to yourself is to reclaim your humanity. It is to honor the divine order within you, the logos, as the Stoics called it, that guides you toward truth, virtue, and purpose. Loyalty to self does not mean selfishness. It means sacred responsibility. You are the guardian of your own soul. Protect it as fiercely as you would protect someone you love. When you stop betraying yourself, you begin to walk differently. You speak differently. You make decisions from a place of alignment, not fear. You no longer chase what doesn't reflect your essence. You stop apologizing for existing as you are. And in that stillness, you find the kind of strength no one can give or take away. The world will not always understand this transformation. Some will call you distant, prideful, or cold. But that's only because they benefited from your silence. Do not let guilt pull you back into chains. Stoicism teaches us that virtue is its own reward, that peace is found not in being liked, but in being true. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And bravery begins with the decision to be loyal to yourself, even when it costs you comfort, connection, or certainty. You begin to understand that solitude is not punishment. It is purification. The space where you shed everything false and return to everything real. When you reach that point, you'll realize that the greatest betrayal was never that others hurt you. It was that you once allowed yourself to become smaller to keep them close. But now, you have outgrown that version of yourself. You've learned that loyalty to your soul is not arrogance. It is enlightenment. So ask yourself tonight, in what ways have you betrayed yourself? Where have you silenced your truth in exchange for acceptance? And what would your life look like if you made a vow, right now, to never abandon yourself again? The betrayal that hurts most is not what others do to you. It's what you do to yourself when you choose comfort over truth. But the redemption that heals deepest is when you finally come home, when you choose integrity over illusion, self-respect over validation, and courage over conformity. This is what Beyond Vision Mindset stands for. The courage to live with truth, the wisdom to walk with integrity, and the strength to protect your spirit in a world that constantly tries to weaken it. If this message speaks to you, subscribe to Beyond Vision Mindset and join a community built on timeless philosophy and inner strength. Support this mission by buying a coffee, sending a super chat, or using stickers. Every act of appreciation helps us continue spreading wisdom to those who need it most. Remember this: you owe the world many things, but you owe your soul loyalty above all. Protect your peace, guard your truth, and never again commit the betrayal that hurts most, betraying yourself.